Yo, we are here with Terra Invicta. Yeah, that's right. So this is going to be episode 0. It's going to be a short episode 0, and then we're going to go right into episode 1. But these will be separate.
That's right. Live TV.
They'll be separate things. So I'll go ahead and end the stream quick and then get back on. So they're just kind of separate video files. But yeah, so first off, before we start our new campaign, the sequel campaign to Terra Nullius, if you couldn't tell by the fact that, it's Terra Invicta, we are going to...
It's not terrible.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God. The first...
It's
already started. Oh, no.
Let's just restart episode 0. Cut that whole first part.
Let's just restart the whole series from...
Seth has to make a new character already.
Yeah.
And Deli dies.
No!
So we're going to do session 0 here. So there's a few things we're going to run through in terms of setting up expectations for the campaign. I've already done some of this, but I want to run through again just a couple of thoughts on what this campaign is going to be and what it is not going to be. Then we're going to run through a few rules adjustments. We're going to figure out what may have changed from Terra Nullius to Terra Invicta in terms of rules. We're going to figure out what XP system we want to use. And then from there, I have a few housekeeping questions, most of which involved the starting state of the game here and character, like what do you guys know each other, that sort of thing. But let's go ahead and get started here and do... I'm going to set us some expectations. So, Terra Invicta was originally a published campaign called The Savage Tide. It is a D&D 3.5 campaign published in Dungeon Magazine between 2006 and 2007. It is the first campaign I ever ran and finished. Right? So it ran from 2010 to 2018, when we played it with our original gaming group. The reason why I wanted to do it again is because I really, really like it. All the themes, all the characters, there's a lot of really fun stuff in here. But obviously, we're going to be playing it like we played Terra Nullius, in the sense that this is a story about you guys, right? This is a story about your characters. So, and also this is set in the world of Terra Nullius, world of Thray. So there's obviously a lot more baked macaroni.
I was like, Carly's coming up behind. I can see.
I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I love that we're going to have more baked macaroni.
Our DM has said it. It's canon.
As in any baked macaroni.
If there's anything Terra Nullius was missing, it was baked.
It was baked macaroni, yeah.
So that's how our characters met, was over
a bowl of baked
at the pub over some baked macaroni.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is there's going to be a lot more. So the original campaign is very railroady. Like, it's the one thing that really has going bad for it is it pretty much expects, like, this is what your character is going to do. Railroad the heck out of them in this part. Obviously, that's not how we play. So that's not how we're going to play with this. I'm heavily adapting this published campaign for the world and for you guys. So a couple of things about that, right? The original campaign is pretty railroaded, but we're going to be adapting the broad strokes of that road. And I expect that by the end of the campaign, it will look completely indistinguishable from what this is, right? From the published adventure. And I'm totally fine with that. I expect it. But there's a lot of fun setting, character, plot stuff to use to mine and just kind of see where it takes us. So we're going to be, at least at the very beginning, it's going to, like, for anyone who's played Savage Tide or has watched someone play Savage Tide, they'll immediately recognize it. It'll be very familiar. But I imagine as we go on, it will get more and more distant from that. The buy-in I'm asking for, the 2 points of buy-in I'm asking for, right? So obviously we're going to play this like we always play games, right? I'm here to cater to your characters' desires and where you want to go. But the 2 things I ask... What?
Except for their desire to live.
Well, sure. The 2 things I ask for in terms of buy-in is, 1, the campaign, at least at the start, is about working for this noblewoman. the noblewoman that I'll introduce you to shortly, right?
I'm out.
Right.
I think I'm already out.
Like I know I expect you guys not to immediately be like, well, we're not going to work for her and just go do something else, right? That's the expectation is that you're going to work for this person, like you worked for Lord Navarro. Exactly. Yeah. Same sort of thing. We'll start off that, and I'm expecting like there will be opportunities for that to shift, for that to change. That will make total sense with the rest of what's going on. But at the beginning, that's the assumption. The other point of buy-in is that you are generally well-meaning people who care enough for others to want to be heroes when the call arises, right? Because this is a campaign. This is a D&D campaign. There will be a bigger thing going on, right? And you guys will have to rise to the challenge and be heroes, right? As long as you guys aren't horrible, evil people that would just selfishly say, I don't care, then we're going to be fine. Those are the only two. Yes, exactly. Those are the only 2 points of buy-in that I asked for.
Well, if Terra Nullius tells you anything, we are going to do the opposite of that.
I was going to say, like, honestly, your characters in Terra Nullius were more or less just like, we're in it for ourselves. And then they did step up to the task and became heroes.
Tony was not a murder hobo.
It's true.
Neither was Darius.
Darius started off,
necessarily,
because of other complications.
Neither was Raya. Raya wasn't a murder hobo. She was a murder vagabond.
Yeah, she's chaotic neutral is my point. Which is funny. All of your characters, you've already passed that expectation for me because all of your characters are good. All of your alignments are good. We have 3 chaotic good characters and 1 lawful good character.
Honestly, I might be more of a neutral good. I think I thought about it, but we'll see. We'll kind of teeter with it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'm already happy with the expectations as set so far. It sounds like it'll work more or less as normal as we start off here. A couple of things I'll just run through. It should be fairly obvious where the story wants to go. But like you guys are versed enough in the tropes of fantasy adventure to pick up on those beats. And I imagine that you'll find them interesting and we'll go after them anyway. But if at any point, like you aren't interested in them and want to shift them, that's fine. I just ask that you don't arbitrarily or violently fight them. Because it will be obvious at several points. Like, this is where the story seems to be going. Yeah, and we're all adults here, right? We're all mature adults, and so as long as there's not like yes, we know exactly what's going to happen.
There's no reason my character would go and do that.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always going to be a reason. There could be, and we'll find it. But also, I'm totally fine with things shifting, things switching around, and I just wanted to set the expectation that, like, originally this is a pretty railroaded published campaign. We are adapting it, but the bones will be obvious, I think. Let's see here. All that being said, yeah, it's my job to cater to the way you are playing your characters. So, as I said, I'm completely okay with this game looking ridiculously different than I envisioned it to start off with. I honestly have, like, I've planned a lot more in the first couple like adventures to be similar and as it got on and I was like looking at the outline, I was like, I'm not even going to really plan anything about the last couple adventures because it's probably just going to be completely different by the time we get there. So I'm not even going to worry about it right now. A couple of other things. I'm expecting a leisurely pace for this game, right? And what I mean by that is I want to give you guys plenty of time between like dramatic story points to shop, explore, side quest, and generally fill in time between tasks assigned to you with other things that you're interested in pursuing. I want to just take our time, and I'm sure we'll hit a point at some point where it will be like, we got to go save the world. But probably even longer than Terra Nullius went, there will be plenty of opportunity for side things and just breaks. Yeah. So
that will be interesting because we really didn't have that.
I know, right? And the also the thing, unlike Terra Nullius, where you guys are like more or less isolated on this one island and we're like doing this one thing always, you guys are going to be like in a city, right? And in a larger region with other things going on, and you guys can go on side adventures. You can go explore the city, right? There's going to be a lot more kind of leisurely, just like take a break from this and go do something related to a side thing you wanted to explore, which I'm excited for. So let's see. Yeah, so you'll have missions assigned to you by the noblewoman you're working for. But your destinies are your own. You aren't as tied down to one mission or one location as you were in Terra Nullius. And honestly, like there will definitely be opportunities to completely shift the tone and themes of the campaign on their head and go in a completely opposite direction. And we'll see where we go with that stuff. One last reminder about like thematic stuff. We're taking a step sideways from Terra Nullius, right? I don't want to have this campaign be we're constantly reacting to Terra Nullius and being like, we have to do something completely different because that's what we did in Terra Nullius, right? Like we're advancing the world 150 years in the future. This is still Thray. It's still all the stuff we're familiar with. It's still in a tropical environment. So there's going to be similarities, right? Like we're in the west coast of Africa. So it's different, obviously. And there's a lot more civilization going on. So that will be very different. But like, I just want to make sure we're properly setting up expectations. Ultimately, I think all of these campaigns that we're going to do are going to be about exploration and discovery, right? Because of like the Terra theme we have going on here, I would like to, as we just keep going, we're always going to be about pushing the frontier, right? And finding out what these characters are doing at the frontier of civilization as it moves forward. And I think that would be a fun thing to just explore as we keep going on here. So those sorts of things will generally stay the same. Like there will be big bad enemies and high stakes and things going on in the world that your characters will end up embroiled in, just like Terra Nullius. But what I'm expecting to do here is I want this to feel like a progression from the first campaign and not a reaction to it. Right. So we're taking what we built there and then pushing the themes, the world building, all the other stuff into the corners to see what else we can explore with those things. Obviously, you guys changed the entire universe by saving the world from the Devourers, right? And you change the way the cosmology works. And that's really what I want to explore a lot in this campaign is like, what does the world look like now and why? How is it different? What new threats arise because of the void that was left by when the Devourers were kicked out? So we're going to explore those things. So obviously we're not going to be doing heavy death life themes or those sorts of things that we did in Terra Nullius. But so we'll find our own special themes. You get some iced tea. No, you're fine. She gave me the salt because she knows me.
Because you're so salty.
Yeah, exactly.
I also love salt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hey, look at that.
But yeah, so there's nice. There's going to be similarities. There's going to be Easter eggs. There's going to be connections. But I'm hoping to make it feel like a progression, as opposed to either staying in the same place or doing something completely different. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing here. So yeah, we're not going to be focusing a lot on death life like dichotomies or Mesoamerican stuff or gods dying or ascension or Spanish conquistadors or any of that stuff. But we will
or chickens.
Yeah, there will be some chickens. Bootsy's around still, right? As a god.
Around. Yeah, there will be spiritual chicken.
But we'll be exploring like African culture. We'll be exploring new gods. We'll be exploring new big bad enemies. We'll be exploring pirates and sailing and exotic ports and islands, along with the old focus of exploration, discovery, frontiers, colonization, indigenous peoples, all that stuff. So, that is what I have for like expectation stuff. Any questions or thoughts on that?
Could Deli eat a spiritual chicken? Because now I really want to do
if she was in the soul
those are called
realm?
apostates, and technically yes.
What did you say, Jordan?
That was funny, actually. Good job.
I said those are called apostates, and technically yes.
Spiritual chickens. Nice.
God.
Nice.
I'll give you that one. That's good.
Cool. Yeah. So
look, it's a new campaign. I've got to step up my joke quality.
That's fair. We won't expect Seth to, so
Seth's gonna have to do double duty now with the puns.
No, he does not. Why would you say that?
Okay, let's talk about XP system. The three possible options that I'm thinking, and there could be a fourth, I don't know. But the things that I'm thinking, we could either continue the goal-based system and do some little bit of revision on it, and make sure that the revision I had in mind on it was not do so. One, I'll obviously just try to work better with you guys as to like making sure your goals are always going to be relevant, and maybe giving you pity XP if you had a goal and it was my fault that you didn't get to work on it. That would be a thing. And then also what I would want to do is I would want to like go away from the XP is decided by how long you worked on it, because that can just lead into ridiculous buttloads of XP. And then focus on rather more short-term goals that will have a difficulty rating. This will determine how much XP you get. So that would be one option. The second option would be quest XP, which is what I've called. Basically, I would assign goals to you guys, and so it would always be up to me to be like, almost like a video game, like, hey, there's this thing here. Do you want to accept this quest? And if you do, then if you complete it, then you'd get XP that way. So there'd always be short term sort of things, and I would assign XP based on like just how difficult it was, how challenging a quest it was to begin with. That'd be the second option. Third option would be the new Unearthed Arcana 3-pillar quest system that I posted a while ago, which basically you gain a level each time you accumulate 100 XP. So the XP is entirely different. And you get XP for doing things on the 3 pillars. So exploration, social interaction, and combat. And the XP amounts are obviously much lower, but you would get them more consistently because and you wouldn't have to worry about having specific goals and not fulfilling those goals or whatever, because you would just get XP whenever you recovered a powerful magic item, claimed a lot of treasure, explored a new location, turned an important NPC into an ally, defeat an enemy in combat. Like it would happen when you do those things, and it wouldn't be predicated on, well, we had to have a goal beforehand. It's just, we did a cool thing. We get XP for it. But it's more so than just, oh, I killed a guy. It's all these other things as well. Yeah, Jordan?
So you said it's 100 XP every time with that system?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So in theory, like leveling up from 1 to 2 is not any more difficult, besides completing the tasks, time-wise, as leveling up from 19 to 20.
Yeah, so that would change the pacing a little bit. I'm not sure how yet, but...
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I personally, like, out of those 3 options, I really like that third one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that does mean, like, we're not spending a little bit of time at the early levels, and then just when we get to the end, it's like we're not changing and or evolving anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Also, character progression would feel more constant, or at least at the same pace every time. Yeah. Yeah.
My other thought was, as like kind of a fourth option, a kind of hybrid, which this seems to be, a hybrid that, because I do like the idea of being able to set, if we set goals then and have a way to earn XP like that, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
If we also had other ways to get XP, kind of like, Skyrim or something, where it's like, yeah, you can take these quests and you can go do them, but also you're going to get XP from fighting the enemies. Also, you're going to get XP from like leveling up your skills or whatever. Just like, I don't want, if we do include goals, my only request is that we have other ways to also get XP.
Yeah.
In case, that way you don't have to give pity XP because we're also getting other XP.
Yeah. So honestly, I think then, and obviously no one else has anything yet, but I'm leaning then towards the third option, because that actually just automatically all of that is already inherent in that, right? Because it's like, if someone gives you a mission to do, it's gonna be either exploring something, talking to someone, or killing something. That's what D&D does, right? Like, we can find a way to put whatever that quest is in one of those 3 categories. So I feel like you wouldn't be, you wouldn't lose XP.
I feel like 3 has the least chance of having the kind of bit of a runaway leveling we had in the last campaign, where we had, I think, we had level 18 to 16.
Yeah.
And it made kind of had that level discrepancy.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be less likely to happen in something.
Yes, and actually I'll grab that real quick, because that handout. Wait, I don't have it as a handout. Because I think it everyone gets the same amount of XP for that when it happens. Let me find it. 3-pillar. Yeah, so under this system, XP is not usually divided among party members. The award for an adventure is the same for all members of the party. If defeating a monster awards 10 XP, each member of the party gains 10 XP. So it would literally be inherent, like, if you're there that session, everyone is going to get the same amount of XP because in theory, all of you are working together on something to do it. And honestly, I'm fine. I don't really care that much if you guys, because in terms of like, if one of you has like a side thing where not everyone is actually there, and if there's a good reason for why your character would do that, but I would be fine with just everyone still getting the XP, even though that one person only did it. Just if we were worried about that balancing factor.
Yeah, I would say not the goal system that we had last time. Sure. Either you-driven goals or the 3 pillars one. Because, like, I mean, that by that last
by the end, you're just like, I do not
whole
care.
season, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna make goals that are gonna get me XP every time.
Yeah,
and not anything like super interesting or anything because that takes a lot of time and there's no guarantee for XP.
Yep, makes sense to me.
Pick like,
and for that same reason is exactly why I got behind in XP.
Yeah.
Like you pick something, my character would totally have this as a goal.
Yep.
And it hasn't become relevant in 3 sessions.
Yep. Yeah, and it makes sense. I think let's do 3 pillar then because it's so much easier to not have to worry about any assigned anything, right? It's just, did you do something cool this session? Yes, you get XP for it. Good job. Even if like we were on a mission and we just decided to completely just go in a completely opposite direction, you still get XP because you're doing something cool anyway. So I'm down.
I mean,
I think my only thing, just like if we need to adjust it because maybe we leveled too quickly, that'd be my only, like, I know that people are like, wait, you're worrying about leveling too quickly. I'm like,
at
sometimes
least as
that
we
happens.
get on further, like at the beginning, I feel like it's like, okay, let's get some cool stuff.
Right. Yeah. So,
but by the time you get to level 5 and you're like, okay, all right, it's only session 15 and we're all already at level, or I don't know,
I feel like that would be actually a balanced.
Actually, that might be balanced. Yeah. But okay, maybe 10. You get what I'm saying.
So like, I think it'll be easy for me to course correct that, in terms of like, or to know if we need to course correct it pretty quickly here because we're going to be starting pretty much as written for a lot of this as we start off. It literally says like, by the end of this adventure, you need to be this level. And so like, if you guys are ahead of that or behind it, then I'm like, okay, I need to slightly adjust these XP amounts so that we're going to be on track for getting, if it's honestly, I'm hoping that we get, less than we're thinking. If the way it works, we're like, ooh, we're getting less than we think, because then we'll have more incentive to just do some other fun side things, right? It'd be like, hey, let's do a side quest to get some more XP. So when we get out of this next thing, we'll be leveled up. Right? Because then it's just fun stuff to like, you can go on an adventure and get some XP. Classic D&D shenanigans just to get XP. I'm fine with that. So.
Yeah, I also don't want to level up too terribly fast because when we do get to like higher levels and it's like, oh, I got all these new things, and if we don't have time to like master them and kind of figure them out and get them down, I mean, it was like the same problem that I had when I switched Darius to being a paladin, and I all of a sudden had to figure out how to play a paladin with all these crazy spells.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, sounds good. Cool. 3 pillar then? That work?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So just to give you guys a little bit more information on that, basically the way it works is, you can get, so for you guys, it would be, you're still tier 1. It's divided by tiers, the way the XP works. So you guys are in tier 1 of, so like level 1 to 6 or something like that, I think if that is. So tier 1, you get 10 XP if you claim a single item worth 100 GP or more, or a non-consumable rare magic item. You get 10 XP. Yeah. In the traditional sense, Seth. You get 10 XP if you discover a important location, a location important to a small town or village, like that level of importance. Obviously, higher tiers, it has to be more important to get the same amount of XP. You get 10 XP if you affect an NPC with influence over a small town or village or the equivalent. So like get them to be on your side or whatever. And then you get XP for defeating monsters in combat determined by the monster's challenge rating to your level. In most cases, you gain 5 XP per monster defeated, but that award increases to 15 if a monster's challenge rating is twice your level or more, or if its challenge rating is half your level or less, it drops to 2 XP. So, yeah. So that's the way that will work. We'll see how it goes, and we might have to adjust, but we'll get there when we get there. Cool. New rules options. So, I am going to officially add a luck save to D&D 5th edition with more rules and everything. So each character is going to get a luck save, and you're going to add your proficiency bonus to it. Nothing else, but you're going to add your proficiency bonus to it. DCs will depend on how unlikely the thing you're rolling for is, but usually it will be between 10 and 20, and will likely never get beyond a 20. So, right, like 20 is going to probably be the hardest anything will be in terms of luck, and so you'll get luckier as you get higher in levels. So that's the way that will work. So whenever you're going to roll a luck save, just add whatever your proficiency bonus is. And I'll tell you the DC.
20 plus?
D20 plus 3, I think, for you guys at this level. So,
2.
2? Okay.
I was just wondering if it factored into a certain skill or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's just going to be like D20 plus proficiency for luck saves. But yeah, just so it's a little bit more mechanical than just me being like, whatever I feel like this number is supposed to be, and just completely random roll of the dice. Because I think it's fun to be like, as your characters get more epic, they just get luckier. That sounds like fun. So, cool. So, inspiration and advantage. I have a couple of changes that I'm going to implement there. Because of just the way Terra Nullius got at some points, where we would spend about 15 minutes in between rolls trying to get inspiration for.
Hey,
I know
don't
you didn't
put this on
you
me.
didn't, Emily. I know. So a couple of things about that. Just advantage. You may gain advantage on a roll or impose disadvantage on an enemy whenever you describe the environment / the equipment you have aiding your attack or defense in a clever way. I'm thinking Pirates of the Caribbean or Jackie Chan films, right? Like, I want to make describing the action of the combat like a movie an advantageous thing for you guys. So we incentivize like using your environment in clever ways and just doing more interesting and unique stuff so that the combats don't end up just being, I did this damage, and then we move on. It's actually like a mechanical incentive.
This is literally what I was intending my character to be built around.
There you go.
So.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll.
This is why I wanted,
Jordan will have advantage every single round.
Again, it's up to me.
Does cool things.
Right, it's up to me. So like I determine if it's clever or not. If it's the level of clever that would give you advantage, or if there's just not a possibility for you to get advantage in this situation given things. But yeah, I think that will speed up things in combat significantly and makes things more interesting. Also, if you can't think of a clever description in 30 seconds, we move on with the roll. So if you're like, oh, I need to come up with something, and then 30 seconds pass and you still don't come up with something, and it's like, okay, you just have to roll now. So yeah, if you want to be getting advantage, then think about it before it gets to your turn, and have something to say. So, also just inspiration outside of combat. You may charge inspiration out of combat by giving us a flashback or a side scene with your character that reveals some sort of past or personality thing. I'm fine with us still doing those, but the same rule applies there. If you can't think of a scene or flashback within 30 seconds, we move on. Right. So if you're like, this is an important role, but I can't think of anything to bring up, then we move on and we just make the roll. But I those are still fun. So if we're not in the middle of combat, I'm down with us still doing those sorts of things. Gunpowder. We are adding pistols, muskets, bombs, and gunpowder from the Dungeon Master's Guide as character options in this campaign. So there's a feat called Gun Expert or Gunslinger or something like that. That does fun things with that. This is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean sort of stuff. So there's going to be pistols and things like that. I know Jordan already is planning on his character being involved with gunpowder and stuff. So that's going to be a thing that will be around. And then I am going to add, I added some handouts in here. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to have to share this manually, won't I? So I'm going to share this folder of new combat options. Some of these are from the Dungeon Master's Guide and are like possible variants that they suggest. And some of them were from an article that I found where someone was positing some new things based off of those. And all of them looked really interesting. So these are going to be other options besides just attacking someone that you can do in combat to gain advantages and cause a condition on people and those sorts of things. So if you want to take a look at those are always going to be available. If you don't want to care, if you don't care about them, that's fine too. You can just ignore them. But especially if you're like a melee fighter, this gives you a little bit more stuff to work with. If you want to do something interesting,
there's so many
in combat. But yeah, feel free to look over those at your leisure. And then I think I'll try to find the ones that are actually in the player's handbook normally too, and drag those handouts on here too from the compendium. I just haven't done it yet. So that's the thing. A couple of questions for you, and I'm totally fine if your immediate reaction is absolutely no. There's a couple of other variant rules that I was looking at that look interesting, but would really just depend on what you were feeling in terms of tone. Let me find it. So,
oh my gosh, Seth, this throw sand one reminds me of the sugar bomb.
It does. Sugar bomb.
Sorry.
So the first one is lingering injuries.
Oh no, you're introducing burning wheel crap into our campaign.
So this is the thing. This would be for any creature. Any creature would have this, right? The rule in the DMG says damage normally leaves no lingering effects. The option introduces the potential for long-term injuries. It's up to you to decide when to check for a lingering injury. A creature might sustain a lingering injury under the following circumstances: when it takes a critical hit, when it drops to 0 hit points but isn't killed outright, or when it fails a death saving throw by 5 or more. And again, these are options, not like this always happens every time. It would be up to me as to whether or not they happen every time or not, or when they would. And there's like a lingering injuries table, which is like lose an eye, lose an arm or hand, lose a foot or leg, limp, internal injury, broken ribs, horrible scar, festering wound, or minor scar. Again, all of these could be healed with various, like, regenerate spells or whatever. Like, it's not like
you don't have someone who can cast regenerate.
About to say,
and again, this is just I have no honestly opinion on it.
I am not a fan of
Totally fine
adding this, but that's just me. If I'm outvoted, it's fine.
I'm not a fan.
If everybody else wants it,
I've got wild magic.
My thought is right now, based on what I know about our party setup, is it's going to be hard to stay healed in the first place.
That's fair. Yep.
So like having like more, like honestly, I think it would have made more sense for Terra Nullius. Sure. But for this, it just seems like it would just make it really, really hard.
Yeah, I just thought it looked interesting, so I thought I'd posit it.
But I do appreciate the option, the thought of it.
Yeah. So I assume you also don't want to do massive damage. Though honestly, you guys, I mean, I'll read it and you'll see. When a creature takes damage from a single source equal to or greater than half its hit point maximum, it must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or suffer a random effect determined by a roll on the system shock table. The effects are: the creature drops to 0 hit points, the creature drops to 0 hit points but is stable, the creature is stunned until the end of its next turn, the creature can't take reactions and has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the end of its next turn, or the creature can't take reactions until the end of its next turn. So this would be like, if you do a lot of damage to, I mean, honestly, most of the time, this a lot of times this would be you guys doing lots of damage to enemies too. And so it would be like, well, I just did 50 damage to this guy, and it basically did nothing because he still has 100 hit points left. But this, it would be like, there's options to fell it in one single epic blow. But again, if it's similar to the other one, so if you're not interested, that's fine as well.
We already are low on, like, we have 2 half healers, so it just makes it kind of tricky to really go in anything.
I mean, technically right now we only have 1 half healer.
Oh, I thought you were a bard, Alyssa.
I starting off as a barbarian.
First. Yeah.
Right. Okay, then definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm more open to that one than the other one, but I still don't think I would want it.
Yeah, I feel like those scenarios happen more often to us than we do to monsters, so that's where my hesitation comes in with that.
That is fine.
Because if we were to have, I mean, with not having that, I feel like we'll still do fine in combat without it.
Yep.
We might not do fine if we do have it.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. A couple of things that I'm adding. I'm adding morale. So they have like a legit like morale system where it's like when this thing happens, but this would be for monsters, not for you guys. So you don't have to worry about just having to just randomly running away. But I'm gonna add that possibility in terms of like when a monster takes more than half its hit points in the first attack, then it will roll to see if it runs away. That'll just be easier for me to determine how creatures act, and without just having to like make it up every time. It'll be fun. I like those sorts of random it's just up to the dice to decide how they act in the situation. So we're gonna do that. We're also going to do. I'm gonna implement a NPC Attitude System from D&D 3.5. They give static DCs for changing an NPC's attitude on a scale. I am gonna show that to you guys. So obviously there could be different, exceptions to this, but the this is like a general table. If and I'll in my brain know how a creature, like what a creature's attitude is when you meet them, and you could probably figure it out just by interacting with them. But then this is the general, just kind of like, if I need a quick DC, for any of this stuff, this is like a table that can be referenced, and you guys can just have it too, just to, if you're curious about it as we go here. So obviously it's really hard to make a hostile creature helpful. So
I think they have something like this in 5e actually.
It's very, very pared down and not very useful. It's almost non-existent. It's just like a couple paragraphs, or a couple sentences about an idea. Like this could be a thing that happens, but they don't give like actual numbers to it. So,
cool. I like it.
So yeah, that's going to be a thing. And what's fun is in the original like magazines, a lot of the times it will just say this NPC has a starting attitude of blank, and that'll just be helpful for me to just be like, cool, he's indifferent, and this is how he acts. Cool. Here's how hard it is to change his mind. So that's the thing. Let's see. Magic item prices. I think that is a thing. I think I sent you guys a link for that.
Maybe a while ago.
Let me.
Can you put
send
it in
again?
Roll20?
So I can't. I mean, I could put. I don't know if I could put the link in. I mean, I could put the link in Roll20, but it would just be in the chat and then it would go away.
Okay, you can't look up
it's like a web. It's like a web page.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's
bookmark it.
Yeah, it's very helpful. You can search things by price and stuff. So that's helpful. We did run into when we did that side story the other day. That one shot thing we did on Tuesday. We did have an issue where like one of these items was like 200 gold, and it was like that absolutely should not be 200 gold. And so up to my discretion. So if you always point it out to me if you want to buy something, and we'll double check that that's an accurate price. Some of these just don't make any sense, but most of them look accurate to me at first glance. So,
wow, gold's gonna matter.
I know, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna be in a city that you can buy things in. So
much.
Yeah,
gonna be so
in the
rich.
city. We could steal things.
I mean, well,
Jordan, that's already gone through my mind. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and also on that note, I also want to give you guys more options if you want to attempt to like create spells or magic items as your characters. As I've been kind of digging through these old magazines and looking at Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 again, I keep finding things that I like really like about 3.5 that I wish were in 5th edition. And one of those is like the actual like ability to do those sorts of things, and there's actual rules for it. Like crafting magic items was like a regular thing in 3.5, which is pretty fun for wizards. So if you guys are interested in doing anything like that, then let me know. We'll find some rules to do it.
Well, I mean, this is like literally Artificer, because Artificers make magic items.
Yes, that's fair. That's a whole class based off it. But if you want to, if any of the characters who are interested in arcane stuff wanted to like take a jab at one of these things, we could find something. Cool. So I was trying to remember the other day what house rules we've figured out at this point. We should really make a list of these. The two that I could remember, well, it's really only one. I guess we are using variant encumbrance, just to note. So I don't remember how that works, but I know that's what we did for Terra Nullius. So as long as your sheet is set to variant encumbrance, then we should be fine. But I can double check that myself. And then flanking, we're gonna still do flanking the same way. But the more I thought about it, and not that any of you are gonna have this spell in this campaign, but the more I thought about it, I don't think it makes sense to have spiritual weapon give advantage.
Spiritual weapon.
Yeah, well, because I looked at the actual.
It was a question
there.
every single time anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we honestly probably decided different things every time.
Yeah, we did.
So who knows?
But yeah. So that's not going to be on the table, but that's not really going to be relevant because none of you are playing a cleric. I just realized like the thing that actually creates like flanking and attacks of opportunity and stuff is like a creature occupies this space, and it literally says like spiritual weapon doesn't actually occupy space, so people can walk through it, which wouldn't make sense if it was actually threatening anyone, because an enemy shouldn't be able to walk through it because then it would be able to do an opportunity attack or whatever. So, so that wouldn't be a thing. Only other stuff that I have written down.
Raya just had an extraordinarily powerful spiritual weapon.
There we go. Yeah, fine. It's all good. Raya was just extraordinarily powerful overall. So,
and also sad.
She was very sad. Yeah.
She gained power from her sorrow.
And the drugs.
I'm an adventurer powered by sadness.
Well, see, the drugs fed into her sadness, and the sadness is what gives her power.
Yeah, exactly. The only other two rule things that I have listed here is just a couple of like house rule, like table rule things. And the first one is maybe let's set a time limit of 1 minute on looking up rules. And I know I'm like probably the most grievous abuser of that because I'm always like, I want to make sure I know this.
Got them all up here.
Yeah, but if we ever are in like a situation where we don't actually know a rule, it should be really easy to look it up because the compendium's right there. But if we can't find out the answer in a minute, we should just move on and keep things rolling.
It happened too often.
It didn't, but I think there were a few times where it did happen, and I think it was me getting carried away, like wanting to know the rules. So I just wanted to posit that for your guys' sake.
If there is a rule like that we're really confused or concerned about, if we time it where we maybe look into it more during a break or after a session, or in between,
for sure, last thing on that is leveling up. I think we did it several different ways when you could level up, but I think let's determine for this campaign you can only level up during downtime. So you can't just level up on a long rest. It could make sense on a long rest, but if you're in a dungeon and you're long resting, that doesn't make any sense. Like you're not just going to suddenly come up with magical new abilities. It makes more sense for like you to spend a little bit of time, you go off and like are training or something. Like there's flavor involved there where you're like kind of preparing for the next time you go out. That I think.
But my Zenkai boost.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what we'll do for that. But we'll have more opportunities for that, so I'm not as worried about that being an issue. So
I now realize that Goku basically leveled up every time he died.
Does anyone have any questions along any of those lines in terms of like rules or anything like that before I move on?
Yes. You mentioned being able to make magic items and stuff. Mm-hmm. What are the possibilities of making potions?
Well, I mean, we still have that. Like, we still have the document I found for Akashi, so we can just use those rules again.
There's also rules for Artificer now.
Yeah, so Gernot the Clunker in chat was just saying Artificer is extremely loose with it and boring when it's just like, yeah, you can grab a magic item at this level rather than getting any detail and making them. And yeah, I think I agree with him. I would rather have it be like a process where like, because that's how magic items are made in the world of Thray, as we've discovered before, right? There's like the ones that we're familiar with in Terra Nullius are like this ancient race of blank, did this ritual and like there's a prophecy involved. And obviously magic items in this setting in 150 years in the future are going to be a little bit more common than they were because we're starting to move into a more like Magitech world, I think. We're starting to get there. I'm envisioning a future where those airships and magical trains and stuff, Eberron style, but we're not there yet. We're just kind of in that transition.
Look, I already have a blueprint for a flying ship that involves 4 immovable rods.
There you go.
Immovable rods help you fly.
Honestly, I guarantee you there's some broken magic item in the rulebook that could make a ship fly. I guarantee it. D&D doesn't care about those sorts of inconsistencies.
So the immovable rods are so you can park in the middle of the air. But there's like spells that you can use to just make an object fly.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
But yeah, so I'll look up on in between sessions, Jordan, and see if I can find some more like thorough magic item creation rules, including potions and other stuff.
Yeah, just whatever we can do. So like when I get to Artificer, it's
have some more options.
Like, well, just that it's not like, oh, I could have done this just as anybody else. Like, I'd like to have some sort of benefit to it over like.
That's fair. Yeah. I'll look up some stuff and we'll see.
I just don't want to like waste levels in Artificer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't think it will be a waste. I'll double check what Artificer gives you and make sure I'm not overlapping that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be a while before we get there anyway.
Yeah.
Before I get there anyway. So.
I have a question for the mark combat option.
Sure thing.
Is that just like a free action that you do when you make a melee attack? It just says it can also mark its target. Is that it? You just say it happens and it happens?
Let me read this again. When a creature makes a melee attack, it can also mark its target until the end of the attacker's next turn. Any opportunity attack it makes against the marked target has advantage. The opportunity attack doesn't expend the attacker's reaction, but the attacker can't make the attack if anything is.
But like if you just
that's fine. Yeah, I mean that's what it says. I don't think it's actually too unbalancing because you can still only make one opportunity attack per turn.
Okay.
It's just like but you can only do it against one enemy, obviously. So yeah, let's do it as written, and if it obviously doesn't work, then we can change.
So just like you attack somebody,
and you can also mark them,
and like you don't even have to hit. It's just when you attack.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll do it. It doesn't look broken to me, but it could be. So
people up. Okay.
Yeah. We'll see how it works.
Okay. That's what I was just like.
It's only for opportunity attacks, and you can only do one per round. So I'm not too worried about it. Yeah. So we'll see. Anything else? Cool. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll remember I guess the other house rule that I just remembered is you can hit people as they're moving away from you, even if they're not doing it willingly. I mean, I still like that. It's fun. I don't really see an issue with it, but if we think of anything else like that, any of those other house rule things we've made up, let me know and I'll try to make a doc of it and try to keep track of them, so that we don't have to keep looking at, or we don't have to keep like talking about it every time we do it. So, so it would be, you can use one opportunity attack with the mark, but then you can use your reaction for something different, that's the main benefit it gives you. That's what Gurno said in chat. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So, I think the only, so before we get to like the character questions, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask that are more housekeeping things. I guess this is an aesthetic question. Do you guys, the two options I see is we could have, if you look at the tokens that you guys all have, I gave everyone the same border. And that's the one we've been using for Terra Nullius too in a lot of ways. And I would like to keep things consistent across the board just for aesthetic purposes. The two options I see in my head is either we have everything have this kind of like cool kind of glossy black border, or would it be more interesting if we had like good people, including you, like allies and stuff, have a blue, some sort of kind of cool blue border, and all enemies have a red border? Would you care about that being a distinction that's made to make it easier to see in combat or something? Do you care about that at all?
Well, I feel like that takes away of like, are they good? Are they bad?
That's fair. Yeah, you're right.
That's literally what I was about to say.
Makes sense. Yeah, let's not do that then. Yeah. Yep, makes sense to me.
Because then you'd show us an NPC and we're like, bad
let's kill them.
That's entirely fair. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
The only other distinction I could make towards that is if we like, until we like knew for sure that they were like if we knew for sure, oh, this person's a bad guy, and then there wouldn't be any ambiguity. Then maybe
the thing is,
but even then, it's if somebody's a bad guy, that doesn't mean that they can't be made a good guy.
Exactly. And if there's any change, if I have to keep changing the tokens every time, that just seems a random amount of work for me to do for no reason. So we'll just do the glossy black. That makes sense to me. Cool. The only other question I had, and I probably should have asked you guys about this before we actually did a session today. But I feel like it's not going to be that much of an ask because we end up doing this every time anyway. So what we've been doing for Orphans is we've been doing an after show at the end of every session where we kind of just do a debrief quick and like talk about the session, anything, good, bad, ugly. I feel like we do that at the end of the session anyway. So I think it would be fun to like just have that be an official thing. And we'll try to stop on time so we're not going too late or anything like that. But just, spend 10, 15 minutes at the end, like we would usually do anyway, just naturally, just talking about the game. I'll ask you guys a few questions if I have any about like, how did you think about this encounter? Did it go well for you? Just as a fun thing for those who give to the Patreon, mainly for Gruno, in terms of people who watch the show and would be interested in those. But I've always liked those.
I cannot wait to watch our after show on Patreon.
I know, me
so
too.
Excited. But those are just fun. I think they're fun. It's fun for me to like have those be a separate thing because then it feels like more official and like kind of a fun after show thing to do.
Yes, as long as you don't force me into too much self-reflection.
No, yeah, and it would just be
like that.
Yeah, it would just be like, what do you guys think of the session? I'd have a couple questions as to like if we were like unsure about something that happened or like,
as long as it's not too late too.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'd be times where it'd be like, yeah, we went too late. We're just not gonna do the one this time. But I feel like for the most part, when we're done with a session, we usually want to talk about it for a little bit anyway. So I feel like it makes sense to just make those an official thing. If you guys are down. Cool. Okay. Character questions. So the main question we have to answer first is, do you guys know each other? Right? This is the question. And I would preface the answer to that question with a plea that if you guys don't know each other, we talk real quick right away as to any potential pitfalls that could happen that would make your characters not like each other right off the bat. Because either way, you guys need to be able to be a cohesive unit that works together. So honestly, I think it would make sense if you guys were a legit adventuring group already. You wouldn't have to be an adventuring group that long. You could have just formed a little bit ago, and then everyone's been here at least a year, right? So it's definitely possible. What are you guys thinking?
Could it be maybe that we weren't an adventuring group, but we were just friends? We just kind of knew each other.
That's also a possibility.
I was sent to kill all three of them. No, that's not it.
Well, so Deli and okay, I have to ask this: is it Anna or Anna?
Anna.
Anna. Okay, I was thinking about. I was like,
we're not in Frozen.
Okay, sounds good. So Deli and Anna live in the same district already, but Anna was secluded in a monastery her entire life, so who knows how much she knows about anybody else. Alyssa, your character's from the Merchant District. Yeah, and then Jordan's character's from Shadow Shore. So if you guys did know each other not being a group, honestly, I think it would make more sense if you or were a group already as an adventuring group. That would be more likely than you just know each other and aren't a group, because you guys don't really run in the same circles.
Yeah, I feel like the only way that would make sense if I was like part of an established adventuring group is if whoever was hiring us came to the monastery and was like, hey, we need somebody to like join this group.
Well, yeah. So the idea would be if you guys were an established adventuring group, it would be established before this person calls on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my pitch. Mm-hmm. My pitch is that there was like maybe like some like noble person's kid like got kidnapped or something like that. There was some kind of like
some situation,
side quest thing, some situation where it was just like whoever does this gets a reward, and all four of us like went to like do it, and then we like, that's how we all like met, and then we like teamed up and did or something like that, right?
Yeah, so I like that. So I mean, then the question would be, have you not been has it basically been you did that and then kind of realized you work together well as a team and then kind of joined up but haven't done anything yet? Or have you actually done something else besides that initial inciting incident?
I would say especially with my backstory, and especially since it sounds like all of us kind of have iffy backstories, I would say we probably don't know each other very well yet.
Yeah, the only worry I have with that is that will make it weird why you guys would stick together, right?
I mean, the thing is, it happened last time.
I know.
Cordy only knew Raya last time.
But
we were also on an unpopulated continent.
Yeah.
Right. And there were a lot of tense moments between our characters last time.
Yeah, and it
right. But the issue is if we have those same moments now, there's really
nothing. We can just walk away.
There's really nothing stopping any of your characters from just yeeting away and getting out of here, right? They can just do whatever they want. Which is that's my concern. Obviously, you guys are in control of your characters, so you can
I think it's been at least a month of us together. I think a month is a decent amount of time to like establish like a decent relationship, maybe 2 or 3.
I think it would be, I think that is my preference too, that you guys are like a legit group already, even if it's only been a month. That's just easier generally, in terms of cohesion and stuff. But
can I okay, so first off, is there an actual like adventuring guild?
No.
Of some sort, or like people that would take us in and be like, yeah, you're one of our units that we want to go and do.
Not really. I mean, even the
well, I think that's kind of what we're about to go do, right? Is we're establishing ourselves. I think kind of almost like vigilantes, kind of a thing, where like people are like, oh, these people help people, and they like go and do things.
And this noble woman's gonna hire you and be like, listen, you're a group. I need you for something. Can you come under my wing and work for me?
Well, so my thought was, as a slight modification to Alyssa's pitch, instead of there being like, there's a job board, it's like we all hear about it, and I don't know if everybody else's characters would be like, yeah, I just want to go help for the sake of helping, or if they'd be like, I want to help, but I want to get paid, but not if I'm not going to get paid. I just thought the thought of maybe something like that happened, and we just all 4 were like, oh my gosh, I need to go do something about this. And then we all happened to run into each other like while trying to take care of this.
Well, wasn't the thing you suggested, Alyssa, that something like literally happened in front of you guys and you did something? Or was it?
I didn't say that, but that could be it.
Because that's what I was thinking you were saying, which might make sense, right? Like you all just happened to be in the same plaza when something went down and you all just independently like helped out. Because you're all good characters, right? You have good alignment. And then you're just like, And then you just like maybe got some beer afterward and was just like talking over beers. Like, that was pretty cool.
I mean, like, I wouldn't do that, but like, I mean, I'd talk.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, up to you guys, obviously, but some suggestions have been thrown out.
I mean, that sounds. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I think probably what ended up happening was we did it out of the kindness of our heart, but then we did get paid, and we're like, we can like work together to like get paid every now and then, kind of a thing, quit our day jobs. Like, I probably worked, I don't know, probably moving boxes, and I was like,
what I was doing before.
Let's say that again, Seth.
I was going to say, this pays better than I did before, possibly. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, it does probably pay because it actually pays.
It actually pays, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Well, and you also just get that good feeling in your soul that you did something.
Oh, there's that too. But it's also the fact that I'm literally not getting paid for my current job.
You have room and board,
but
yeah, but what were you saying, Jordan?
I said, what if we no longer have a soul?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of those things where we all went to the pub afterwards, and then they we're like, okay, here's your payment. And we're like, guys, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah. So
like, go do some good
I'm curious
deeds.
Then. I feel like one of you would have had to be the person who like suggested that. Was it you, Alyssa? Was it Takui?
Maybe. I'm a pretty
like
high energy spirit.
Yeah.
It was like, I believe in the good of people. Let's,
I think it honestly had to have been you because I don't think any of the others would have suggested that.
No,
Are you all just like so dark? Am I going to be like the toity of the group where I'm just like,
they're not dark.
No, I'm not dark. I just like wouldn't have suggested it.
Yeah.
Based on
they're more loners
my
than you
life.
Are.
Yeah. I will say
I have a high charisma, so I could have not that high. Decently high, where I could have been like, guys, listen, okay. Here, like, we can like actually do this kind of a thing.
Okay, just to give you an idea, Alyssa, my flaw is literally I dislike being touched and have a short temper, but I'm far from intimidating.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not.
My character, I will say, my character would have been hesitant at first to join up with a group.
Yeah.
So it probably would have taken some coaxing, and my character's probably just hesitant. Is still somewhat hesitant to be full in with the whole thing, but I think for now he's.
Yeah.
I figured if it's been a month or two, right, you're probably a little bit more like, okay, all right, it's working. Like,
Question then, does that mean we start off with our stuff?
Maybe.
So I would ask for buy-in purposes that everyone's more or less sold on the idea of the group at this point. Right? Just because I just want it. I just want, if tension does come up within the group, which is I'm fine with, and obviously there's drama, you guys are tied enough together that the first option wouldn't be I'm just gonna leave. Right.
For my character, he wouldn't be like, all right, peace, I'm out. It's just
You're still wary though. Yeah.
I think he's more than anything wary of himself.
Sure.
And it makes sense for me, because since everybody is good, that we would be on the same enough wavelength that we would only take jobs that I would agree with.
Yeah.
Because that would be the biggest conflict for me.
Yeah. The main difference between the two sides of the group here, and by sides I mean Anna and everyone else, is that everyone else doesn't care about the law as much as you do. So,
well, way to call me out.
You're lawful good. And they're chaotic good. We already knew this.
Yeah, I'm just gonna switch mine to neutral good. I think when we were describing the differences between neutral and chaotic, I was like, I think Takeaways were actually more neutral, so I'm switching
that means Jordan and I are gonna have to go on a stealing spree, because
because Takeaway wouldn't just go. She's not a Robin Hood.
Yeah.
That's not quite who she is, but she's also like, if I need to break the law, I will.
It will be an option,
but
on my table.
It's an option, but I'm not just gonna go
Yeah.
I love what Pig has said in chat. It says Alyssa goes from hating Toity to being the new Toity. You gotta love it.
Oh no. I mean, hey, I am taking levels in Bard, so I mean, I kind of am a little bit.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, cool. So obviously the next question is, do you have a group name? Do you have a cool adventuring group name?
So let's look at the names we have.
Let's see. Do we have an acronym?
Data.
That's
literally the acronym.
Or ta-da!
I'm just
I think
curious.
Ta-da might be a little too much for our group, because then we'd have to introduce ourselves as Ta-da each time, which I would picture Takeaway just being like, we're Ta-da, and then everybody's just like, Ta-da.
Yeah. No, yeah, that seems like a silly name.
Data.
It seems like you guys are. I mean, data is not even a word that really exists in the language yet. So,
I don't know.
And it's fine if you don't have an idea. But
find some cool Latin word.
Oh, let's see if there's a adventuring group name generator. Sure, there is. Yeah, here you go.
Okay, we have to have majority vote. Everybody get your thumbs
thought
ready.
of a name, but I really don't want to share it.
Jordan, send it to me. Send it to me. Send it to me.
You're not going to want to see it.
Why don't you want to share it?
I don't want to see it. It's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. Send it to me.
Let's see. I'm just trying to think of I'm trying to think of your.
I don't know where I got this reputation that it's just yeah, sure. Send a list of the bad things.
I'm trying to figure out what the theme is across the group, right? Yeah. Let's see. Let's think about nouns. Are you is it a band, a society, an agency, a company? Right?
Alyssa, I want to preface before I send this, don't judge me, okay?
No judgment from me, man.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can't have that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what you said.
I really don't think you do.
Well, I thought of a funny joke. But also, if you guys don't If you guys don't think you
It's
your
literally
characters would have thought
something
of a name, then that's also a thing.
No.
The only thing I can...
I feel like Taekwee would be the only person who would come up with a name for the group.
Don't make me come up with a name.
No, but I'm saying, but if she wouldn't, then there's probably no name for the group. Right.
I mean, I don't know that Taekwee is that ecstatic.
Yeah. Then that's
right.
Fine. Yeah.
She's probably the most ecstatic out of the group, but she's definitely not that ecstatic. I can't keep that up for a whole campaign.
That's totally fine. I was just curious.
What about just going simple? The Heroes of Calabar.
I mean, you could.
There's probably lots of heroes.
I was gonna say it's kind of a diss to all the other heroes in Calabar, but
I know.
Calabar Crusaders.
I was about to say Crusaders would be a word that I would be for.
That's fair. Yeah.
Calabar
Crusaders sounds like a football team, though.
C squared.
I like the chat. The good, and the also kind of good. Triple G or quadruple G.
I like Crusaders.
Or how about 4G network?
The 4G network. Oh my God.
I don't know. We're not going to be able to keep up with them 5Gs if we do that.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind, and maybe one will come up.
If we haven't thought of a name yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Yeah. Awesome.
I mean, okay, we tried to do this last time with Terra Nullius, and we couldn't even do it.
Did we even try?
Yeah,
we
it
did.
got suggested at one point, and then nobody could think of anything. So, so the other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, I just wanted to remind you, like, I think I've reminded you of this at very like individually as well, but just as a general reminder, you are all level 1 characters. So even though you guys, some of you have dramatic backstories, you are level 1 characters. You are rather incompetent people. And
how dare
I want to see, and obviously a lot of you have plans for like character progression and where you're going to go and stuff like that. But remember, I want to see that on screen, right? I don't want you to be like, I am already this thing, but I just don't have the levels for it yet. I want to see you become an artificer, artificer agent, right? I want to see Anna just like get her stuff for the way that she's chosen. Like, yeah.
Also, for me, it is the opposite with you guessing Anna, and it's actually Audrin.
Audrin. Okay. Anna and Audrin. That's not going to be confusing. Audrin. Okay.
Ari and Raya. You guys are just those are going to be the names that we mix up all the time.
It will be. Yep.
And see, Caleb, that's why I made my dramatic backstory moment. Mechanically, it works.
Yeah, and then I appreciate that about all of your backstories, because technically I made sure that I don't think anything came up, but like I'm glad that it does make sense. The other day I was thinking, I was like, how the heck did Ari kill a dragon?
I know. I'm like, how did I kill a dragon? That's a great question.
And honestly, I did come up with a retcon reason, and I think it's because the dragon was a traveler. He was like really confused and like messed up in his brain, and he just got killed that way. But anyway,
I also had a bunch of people helping.
You did. Yeah. Anyway, yes, I'm glad that all of our level 1 characters this time are suitably incompetent. So I'm excited to see them grow and change and become awesome. Other stuff I had, if you guys would give me a more detailed description of your characters, in terms of like anything that might be different from the token, stuff like that. At some point soonish here, we're going to have Carly drop sketches, for everybody. And, we'll do that. But, so that's something just to think about. You don't have to give me that right now, obviously, but, and I think I talked with all of you pretty extensively the last couple of days about how your character fits into the city and the situation and stuff. So I think we're pretty good on that front. The only other thing I wanted to bring up quickly before we start is the factions. So the game will have factions, and these factions, you can join these factions, you can get fun benefits from these factions, you can rise in the ranks of these factions. I think it makes sense that no one except for Anna is part of a faction at this point. Anna is part of the faction that is her monastery. But everybody else, I think I just wanted to real quick run through the factions, just give a brief description, and just if you want to let me know if you're interested in any of these factions, and I can make some notes for how you could join them at some point. So the faction list here for right now, obviously there will be other factions that you could join or that will come up later as we explore the world. These are the ones that are the most obvious. Obviously, they have the Order of St. Cuthbert, which is the monk order that Anna's a part of. So she's part of that one. And then we have the other ones there.
Wait, which one is she part of?
The Order of St. Cuthbert.
Last one.
The religious military order. Yeah, so she's like a warrior monk person. So
cool.
So yeah,
super competent already.
Yeah. Do any of those jump out to you?
Adamant League.
Yeah, Adamant. I know Jordan was interested in the Adamant League. A loose group of explorers / sailors. Delhi, Seth, I did have an idea if you wanted to further explore the stuff with that shrine that you're kind of staying at right now. If like you could totally join them as a faction too. I just have to drop the faction. I just wasn't sure if you were, so I didn't make it. But if you're interested in actually like joining that faction, that's a thing we could do.
Potentially, depending on. I mean, obviously, I'm a good character, so depending on things,
yes,
potentially.
Okay.
If anything,
actually, the Adamant League also sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, it makes sense as a traveler. Yeah.
Is Calabar like a cape, or is there a cape?
As in like land type of cape.
Yeah.
Here,
no, the clothes kind that you wear on your back. We all expect capes with the place on it for Christmas.
Here's the kind of general region map along the coast here, next to where Calabar is.
I specifically asked because if there is, then we could be the Cape Crusaders.
Yeah, there's not much of a cape here. We're not in South Africa.
Fort Fatty? What the?
Fatih. It's Arabic.
Caleb,
I don't care how you say it. It just sounds offensive.
You know it in your heart.
So that one.
Not our fault.
Sorry, just to clarify.
Yep.
The one hexagon is Calabar, or the whole light green area is Calabar?
So the one hex is Calabar, is the actual city limits. The other, like the farm, those are farmland hexes, and there's various plantations and stuff around the city.
Okay.
So yeah, Calabar really only exists at the point where those three rivers collide there.
Got it. Understand.
Yep. So, but yeah, there's a lot of cleared land and plantations and other small villages and stuff around it. So yeah, and there's other stuff on this map that's in the GM layer right now that you could find and explore. But these are the stuff. This is the stuff that's like actually you would know about. So those are like Fort Fatih, Blister Wall, and Castle Northwatch are all like forts / castles of Calabar. So protect it. So yeah. And any of those other factions look interesting, or is everybody kind of so Takewee's interested in Adamant League?
Yeah, I think so. Out of all of those, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't really see, because obviously I'm going to be taking, 3 levels in Bard, and I'm going to be taking, like the Way of the Sword. So it's not like I'm taking, like one that's super.
You're still going to be very martial focused. Yeah.
Right. But taking levels in Bard is still more, it's definitely not as aggressive as a barbarian.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious, like, I don't know, I guess Adamant could probably, that's just like, if I were to join that faction, right, it narratively might make sense that I would run into somebody who is like, oh, let me show you a new way of like combat.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Adamant League has lots of different people who join it. So.
Right.
That makes sense to me. Do any of those on that list there, Seth, interest you, or are you more interested in the shrine?
The only thing that sounded marginally interesting was the monster hunting one, specifically to try and stop them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. As the druid who cares about the animals, yes, you do not want the monster hunters to slay the monsters. Sounds good. Okay.
That's my kitty!
I'll draw up the shrine as
such misunderstood creatures they are.
Yeah. I'll draw up the shrine as a faction, and you can take a look at it and see if it interests you then. So
okay.
All right. Do you guys have any other thoughts or questions before we get started here?
I just realized that if Alyssa's character was a guy, it would basically be Alex Louis Armstrong, I think. Maybe.
A little bit too buff, I think. But
we're going to take a...
Yeah, but I mean, when you think charismatic barbarian...
Charismatic barbarian, yeah, I get it, yeah. I get you.
My only question, are we going to take a quick break?
We will, yep. Cool. Yeah. If
cool. I'm assuming we're going to do character description in session.
Yeah, we'll start all that in game. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. This has been session 0. We'll see you next time for session 1, which will be starting in approximately 10
Everyone
minutes.
Everyone go change their shirt so it looks like it every day.
Good change.
All right. We'll be back with some more Terra Invicta right after this.